my name is Dr Lewis Dartnell and I'm a UK Space Agency Research Fellow at the University of Leicester. And what I'm going to try and do is answer some of your questions about outer space. Tyrone, who's 11 and lives in London, wants to know if bacteria can survive in outer space. And the answer to this is very, very surprising. And it turns out that a whole lot of different forms of bacterial species, of microscopic cells on Earth, if we launch them out into outer space, into low Earth orbit, circling around our planet, then actually most of them are quite happy surviving. As long as you protect them from the ultraviolet radiation from the sun, the kind of stuff that gives us a sunburn on the surface of the Earth but is much, much more intense in outer space. As long as you protect them from the UV, they can survive the hard vacuum and being dried out by the conditions in outer space. They're quite good at surviving being in space. And there's been one very interesting recent experiment where some scientists from the Open University took a piece of rock that they just broke out of a cliff face on the south coast of England in a town called Beer, and they gave it to some astronauts to launch up on a rocket and then put on their spacesuits and take to the outside of the International Space Station, and they strapped it on the outside for a year and a half, exposed to all the radiation and the conditions in outer space, and they brought it back and found that stuff was still alive and living inside that rock, stuff that had survived for months and months in outer space. Ian has asked that if I had £50 billion, where would it be best spent on? In searching space or searching the seas? Now, it's a really interesting fact, and you may not have known this, but we know more about the surface of Mars than we know about the surface of our own Earth, because most of our planet is covered with water, with the oceans which are hiding the seafloor from us. And so we can see much more of Mars from the cameras that we launch on orbiting satellites than we know about the seafloor on our own world. And so what I would do is probably not explore the oceans on the Earth, because I'm a space scientist, but I would spend that 50 billion, if you were to give it in a great big wad of £50 notes to me, or billion of them, I'd take that money and I would pump it into the space exploration of Mars and other planets in our solar system. Because for even quite a large space mission, a robotic probe that we send to Mars or Jupiter or Saturn, they cost about £1 billion. So we could do a whole lot with 50 billion and really get to know the other worlds that orbit the sun with us. And possibly, for some of that money, we could even start exploring with people. We could send human astronauts toward the surface of Mars with some of that money. And that, I think, would be the next step, the next important step for our exploration of the solar system. Sophie from North Wales, who's 16 years old, has asked, what do you think the next big development will be in science and engineering? Now, one thing that I'm very excited about, and I'm following with great interest, is the development of a whole new enterprise in space called space tourism. So instead of NASA or Russia or ESA, the European Space Agency, instead of whole countries and governments building rockets and launching astronauts into outer space, what we're just on the brink of doing is having private companies and corporations being able to launch astronauts. And what we might do after that, looking a bit further into the future, is to start exploiting space, to start maybe mining asteroids to get valuable metals out of them, or mining the moon surface to get the fuel that we need for nuclear fusion reactors to create power back on Earth. Because I think by doing that, we'll also start making space exploration pay for itself. And from there, who knows, we will spread and explore out through the planets, maybe start settling down as colonists on the moon or on Mars, or maybe further afield, but that's looking quite a long way into the future now. And that's it. Thank you ever so much for all of your excellent questions, and I hope some of that has inspired you to now enter the National Science and Engineering competition. Good luck with that.